How's it going, everyone? I hope you're having an awesome day. Welcome to the channel. I'm the ChainBaker, and in today's video we're making Japanese milk bread burger buns. These may be the softest buns I've ever made. Let's go to the kitchen and have a closer look. Just check out that texture. I mean, these things are so soft. Seriously, these will be some of the fluffiest burger buns you'll ever make. And if you're not into burgers, well, you can shape this into any other shape. You can make one large loaf out of it. Or you can make hot dog buns, or little dinner rolls. It's totally up to you. But you gotta admit, you can't beat a big old burger. But let's not waste any more time and see exactly what we need to make this dough. We use a tray with some non-stick paper for baking, a bowl, scales, a dough scraper, temperature probe, a brush for glazing. As for the ingredients, white bread flour, yeast, salt, sugar, soft butter, an egg yolk, some milk. We'll also use some water. And we'll use the leftover egg white for glazing the buns before baking. To achieve this soft texture, we use a method called Yudane, and it is used to make Japanese milk bread. The way it works is that you take a portion of the total flour and mix it with boiling water. The boiling water gelatinizes the starch in the flour, and that's how the final bread will get its unique texture. Mix it until there's no dry flour left, then cover it up and we can leave it in the fridge to cool down completely. You can make this a whole day ahead of time if you like. Because I'm kneading this dough by hand, I want to use cold milk to control the final dough temperature. To make the dough, take a large bowl, add the milk, the yeast, the salt, the sugar and the egg yolk. Mix everything well before adding any other ingredients. You want to hydrate the yeast and dissolve the salt and sugar. After mixing everything up, continue by adding the Yudane. Now this is not the only ingredient that makes the dough soft and fluffy. The milk, the egg yolk, the sugar and the butter will all contribute to the soft texture. And if you want to learn more about how these ingredients affect the dough, go and check out the Principles of Baking playlist after you watch this video. After adding the flour and mixing it to a dough, tip it out on the table. This dough is sticky, so to help us with kneading it, we'll leave it to hydrate. A quick 15-minute rest will help the flour absorb the milk, and this will slightly reduce our mixing time. But don't get me wrong, this dough is still going to be sticky. And if we knead it like this, it's going to be a mess, and it's going to be difficult. As you can see, I'm pressing against the table, and it just keeps smearing and sticking. So we're going to switch to the stretch and fold kneading method. Normally it's used for high hydration dough, but it works really well in this case. Pick the dough up by the side, turn it, stretch it against the table and fold it forwards. And don't hold back, really bash it against the table. And remember, pick, turn, stretch, fold. Keep doing this for around 6 minutes. When it starts sticking to the table, simply scrape it up and continue. You may have noticed that we haven't added the butter to this dough yet. It's difficult enough to knead as it is. If we added the butter from the get-go, this would be pretty much impossible. So first we need to get some gluten going, and after 6 minutes of kneading, we can add the butter. You'll also find a detailed video about adding fat to your bread dough in the Principles of Baking playlist. But here's the gist of it. Wash your hands so they don't stick too much, then stretch the dough out a little bit and add the butter. From here on, it will get slightly messy. Fold the dough around the butter, then keep kneading it. Press it against the table. If the butter starts coming out, then pick the dough up and just squeeze it in your hands. There's no special techniques here. All you want to do is force the butter into the dough. Keep mashing it, squeezing it and pressing it. It'll only take around 30 seconds. And once you have more or less combined it, you can keep kneading it using the stretch and fold method. Another 3 minutes should do it. It becomes a lot less sticky after adding the butter. You should never get discouraged when you have a sticky dough to begin with. Just keep working at it and it will all come together. This was only about 10 minutes of work. The dough is nice and smooth and stretchy. Now we can pop it in a bowl and take its temperature. Around 25 to 26 degrees Celsius, just about right for this. That's 77 to 79 Fahrenheit for my American friends. We'll leave this to ferment for around 2 to 2.5 hours. The sugar in the dough slows down fermentation, and that is why it's okay to have the dough around 26 degrees Celsius. The dough is almost doubled in volume. Now I'm going to divide it and pre-shape it. Now I would always suggest using scales for this, if you want all your rolls to be the same size. Weigh your dough and then cut it into 4 equal pieces. And after dividing, we're going to pre-shape it. The pre-shaping step is there to give the dough balls a uniform shape after dividing. Because most of the time, after dividing, at least one of the doughs will be made up of more than one piece. And we want to hide those little pieces. That will ensure that the final buns are nice and smooth. So to pre-shape, place your piece of dough on the table with the smooth side down. Make sure that all the rough bits are on top. Flatten it out, then fold the edge over the middle, going around in a circle. But do not shape them tightly. As you can see, I only did 5 folds. Place them back on the table with the smooth side up and then just round them off. They don't need to be perfect. The lighter the pre-shape, the lighter your buns will be. Now cover them up and let them rest for around 20 minutes. This will help the gluten relax before the final shaping. And because we want these to be the softest burger buns ever, the final shaping should also be nice and light. Use a very light dusting of flour. Place your dough ball on the table with the smooth side down. Gently flatten it out, then fold the edge over the middle, going around the circle to the reach point where you started. Around 6 folds should do it. Then flip it smooth side up again, lightly round it off. Lastly, pick it up and pinch the seam together at the bottom. If there are any large bubbles on the surface, don't pinch them, just slap them out. You want to keep the surface nice and smooth. And if the first one wasn't perfect, you got 3 more to practice on. Place them all on the tray with plenty of space between them. They will puff up quite a lot during final fermentation and baking. Now we can cover them up and leave them for the final proof. The final proofing time will depend on the temperature of your kitchen, but I'd say generally around 2 hours should do it. And you really want to let them rise so they're nice and big. During the final hour of fermentation, preheat your oven 160 degrees Celsius, that's 320 degrees Fahrenheit with a fan on. Uncover them slowly, because they might be a little bit stuck. You could also give them a light dusting of flour before covering them up. If your buns don't look like this after 2 hours, leave them to ferment for longer. If they are ready, the next step is to brush them with egg white. By the way, I have a whole video where I compare 15 different glazes. Egg white is a great option for reducing waste, because we use the egg yolk in the dough. It'll make the surface nice and shiny. It can also be used as a glue for sticking seeds to your buns, which is exactly what I decided to do. For me, a burger bun is incomplete without sesame seeds, and I don't hold back. I like them nicely coated. You can of course use any seeds you like, or don't use any seeds at all. It's totally up to you. Here's a little trick I use to really make them stick. I gently press them in using the palm of my hand. Right now these are ready to go in the oven. They'll take around 25 minutes. You can turn the tray around halfway through the bake for a nice and even crust color. And once they're beautifully golden brown all over, they're ready. Now you just need to be patient enough to let them cool down and then enjoy them with your favorite fillings. You already know what I made, but what will you use these for? Let me know down in the comments. These buns will stay nice and fresh for a couple of days. They will of course go a little bit stale, like any bread, but once you toast them and reheat them, they'll become nice and soft again. I actually ran out of time when I was making this video. The buns came out the oven late in the evening, so I had to go to sleep and go to work the next day. The burger that I am assembling right now is made with a 1-day-old bun, and it came out perfect after I toasted it. So what do you think this recipe, and what's your favorite burger bun? Have you ever used Yudane or Tangzhong before to soften your bread? Let me know down in the comments. To see more videos like this one, click right here. That's all I have for you today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.